So today is a pretty good day because I am finally moving out of my Tokyo share house. As you can guys see, I'm in a different environment. That's because last night I spent it in my new apartment, and that's because I just couldn't take it anymore. So living in a share house has benefits and disadvantages, and I have lasted 7 months living with other people in a very tiny space in very close proximity, and it was just time for me to move on and just get a space of my own. And I think anybody who has lived in student accommodation or with a lot of other people in one place, after a while you do get a little bit overwhelmed with the amount of interaction that you have and the lack of personal space, and also the most important thing for me, sharing a bathroom with somebody else, because that was kind of like the breaking point, the final straw for me that made me want to move out of the place, and that was just sharing a bathroom with like 20 other people. And I am so happy that I don't have to do that anymore. So the plan for today is to make the second trip back to my old Tokyo share house and grab the rest of my stuff. As you can see, I've already started to move in. I've got some stuff here already, and that's because yesterday all day I was just moving everything, and today I'm gonna go back and get the remainder of the things because my actual contract ends tomorrow and I have to be out of it completely by tomorrow. But what I want to do today while I still have the chance is show you guys the area where I lived and explain to you the reasons as to why I did not find it very convenient, for me at least. So I hope that today's video will be helpful for you if you are coming to Japan and you're thinking of living in a share house and you want to know what to expect. I am going to quickly get changed and we're gonna head out and probably grab a drink, and then I will show you guys where I used to live.
I-27, the final stop.
Look at all the umbrellas. This hallway is so narrow. It's so narrow. Okay, so this room is tiny, so I'm gonna check in with you guys once it's almost empty of all the stuff so that I can show you what it looks like. There is no space to move with the suitcases. Yeah, it's gonna take a while. I really hope this suitcase does not burst open because it is seriously misshapen right now. So I don't think you realize how much stuff you actually have until you move house, and then you realize that you just have all this stuff. And my friend just texted me, she's like, you need to Marie Kondo the shit out of the place because how is it possible to accumulate this much stuff in this tiny room? And this room is tiny, you can't even walk, like you can't even walk in it. But yeah, I'm just saying bye to this room because it has served me well for how many months? Like 6-7 months? I don't even know. But I am ready to move on somewhere more convenient, somewhere that's better for my work and somewhere that's just better for my health in general, because I honestly think that if you live in an environment where you're not that happy, it's gonna impact you. Like, I am so tired all the time because I cannot get good sleep here because of some of the more stranger neighbors that we have. But aside from that, it's been good. It's been alright. And I think if you're coming here as a student or somebody on a working holiday visa or even a work visa and you need to find accommodation quickly and easily, a share house might be your best option just for the time being while you find somewhere else more permanent to live. So don't be picky, because finding a place to live in Japan can be quite difficult if you don't have people helping you. Like, I was lucky because I had a lot of people helping me, but when you first arrive and you don't know anything, a share house might be your best option. So this is normally as clean as it gets. It's not pristine by any means, but it's not that bad either. I mean, people are pretty respectful most of the time and everybody cleans up after themselves, until recently. But yeah, it's not too bad if you don't mind sharing the bathroom with like 30 other people. So normally in a share house you get some washing machines to share, and if you want to reserve one for a specific time, you can reserve it. Something I really recommend you guys doing is learning basic kanji, because as you can see here on the washing machines, everything is in Japanese, and unless you have somebody to help you use them, you're not going to be able to understand how to use it. In a share house it's great because people can help you get an idea of how to use certain appliances. But if you're living in your own apartment and it's your first time in Japan, I strongly recommend learning some kanji so that you know how to use these. Something else I want to mention is that these washing machines use cold water. Just something to keep in mind. They do not heat up any water at all. And another thing, the problem with these type of sinks as well is that unless somebody has used the shower recently, the water is cold. So if you're washing your face really late at night or really early in the morning, this water is going to be cold and there's nothing you can do about it. And then normally here you get like these storage boxes, like storage facilities for all your stuff, but they're definitely not big enough to store your shampoos or your conditioners or anything. So it's very limited space to store your stuff. The showers here are also pretty basic. And like I said, they smell like chlorine really strongly. And what you have to do before walking into the shower is that you have to turn on this dial to either 48 or 60 and it will heat up the water for you. Otherwise the water is going to be cold. I'll give you the full pan of the room now, but it is so small. Oh my god, I don't know how I managed to fit all my stuff in here. So with these types of share houses, you normally don't get any storage. In many share houses you do, but in this one in particular, you get no storage at all, aside from under the bed. There's 2 drawers under the bed. But you get a semi-double bed, so it's not a full double bed, it's like a single bed and a half. And then you get a stool, you get a table, and you get your own refrigerator, and that's the freezer on top and the refrigerator at the bottom. And then you get a window like this with like a bug net to catch them bugs, especially during summertime. And you have to hang all your clothes here. And because this room has no balcony, what you have instead is this rail which you can like twist down like this using this magic stick. It's like a handle that you turn, and the rail comes down and you hang all your clothes to dry there because the washing machine does not dry your clothes. And you also get a lamp. But yeah, this is pretty much it. It is very small. This is as far as I can put my legs out. And the reason it feels so small as well is because of the lack of storage. So imagine having all your clothes out and like all your books out on here if you're a student and you're studying, and all your food on top of the refrigerator, and just every surface is taken up with stuff. So it gets cluttered very quickly. One thing I really did like though is this wallpaper. It is so pretty. This is really nice wallpaper. But yeah, I'm gonna miss this place. Oh, I forgot to take my calendar down. Oh my god, it's a good thing I planned over here. Every room here comes with that air conditioner that also doubles up as a heater, and it's pretty much standard in any Japanese home. It's quite powerful as well. It will make the room cold really fast and will make the room hot really fast too. But you control with this thing, which is also in Japanese, so once again just learn some basic kanji to help you out. And it's pretty good. It's pretty easy to use. It's never failed on me. When it was really cold outside, it would warm up the room, and when it was really hot last summer, it was kind of like a lifesaver. Thank you, Panasonic. Something I have to mention is that the beds in these share houses are very hard. If you come from a Western country like England or America or I don't know, France maybe, you have not experienced such hardness that is this bed. Like, this bed is so hard. I actually got myself a mattress topper because it was painful. Like, I sat down on it too quickly and my butt hurt for like the next 2 weeks. It was painful. So I'll show you how thin this mattress is. So this is all the mattress you get, and I can basically squish it between my hands, and underneath is just wood. So it is so hard. It's very thin as well. Like, this isn't memory foam or anything. It's just a very thin kind of futon-like material, but this is a very cheap, very thin futon, if that makes sense. And then it's got like this little tiny foam topper, but it's not memory foam. It's literally just sponge. So in case you're budgeting for living here and you can't sleep on a hard bed, I strongly recommend just saving up a bit more money so you can get yourself like a good mattress topper, because that's what I did. I didn't buy a whole new mattress, I just got a more comfortable mattress topper. Hey everybody, so I just got home and I am so sorry if the lighting is weird. It's just not something I've had the time to figure out just yet. But hopefully soon I will create a nice setup in this room, especially because now I have more space to work with. And it's obviously dark outside right now, and it took me a long time to move out of the share house, so this artificial light is all that I have to work with. So I just wanted to go through some of the reasons as to why I decided to live in the share house when I first arrived in Tokyo, and also why I am finally I have finally moved out, and maybe in a way that will help you make a decision if you're just arriving in Japan and you want to get your life started here easily, because I've definitely made some mistakes, and hopefully maybe you can learn from some of my mistakes too. So I'm going to start with the positives first, and there are quite a lot of positives to living in a share house in Tokyo specifically, because Tokyo is very, very expensive. Your own apartment can cost a lot of money, and when you're just arriving you will have a lot of unexpected expenses for things like registering at the ward, topping up your suica. There's just a lot of little things you have to pay for when you first arrive here, as well as just getting started and also being overly excited about finally being in Japan and wanting to spend your money on absolutely everything. So living in a share house is a great way to save a lot of money. So the financial side of it is definitely a plus, but up to a point. There is a clause with that as well that I'm going to get into later in the negatives. In the majority of the share houses, all your bills are also included, and that makes things so much easier that you don't have to pay for the water, for the gas, or for the electric, including your internet. You will still have to buy a SIM card or a pocket Wi-Fi because obviously you can't take it out of the house with you, but at least when you arrive in your accommodation, straight away you will have access to Wi-Fi, and it just makes things so much easier. The next point is probably the most obvious one, and that is it is so easy to meet people in a share house. And you would meet people from Japan and people from other countries as well, and it's a good way to meet Japanese people too, because a lot of Japanese people who don't live in Tokyo will come to Tokyo for work, and they will stay in a share house because it's affordable and it's convenient and it's just an easy option. So you do make a lot of friends and a lot of connections. And the final point that I just quickly want to mention is that living in a share house is very, very secure. And I say this keeping in mind that, in my personal opinion, Japan is by far the safest country I have ever lived in comparison to other places I have lived in. And I have lived in many different countries, but in my personal opinion, Japan is the safest. However, if this is your first time traveling outside of your home country and you feel a bit uneasy, and especially if you're a woman and you're a bit worried about your safety, not just in Japan, but anywhere, what you can do is find a share house that is solely for women. I personally lived in a mixed share house and I didn't find any problems whatsoever, but if it does bring you a peace of mind, then there is that option of finding a female-only share house. So that is definitely an option for you if safety or security is something you're a little bit apprehensive about. So next I'm going to get onto the negatives, and initially the negatives were not evident at all, but after 7 months of living in the share house, they become really obvious and you start to get very, very tired of them very quickly. So aside from one of the most obvious negatives, which is my room was tiny, I had absolutely no space and all my stuff was all over the place because there is zero storage. Aside from that, when you're living in a share house like the one I was living in, that has one bathroom per floor, and by one bathroom I mean one toilet, 2 showers and 1 sink, and each floor has about 20 to 30 people living on it. Mornings are hell, like actual hell, because if everybody who's living there is either a student, a working holiday visa holder, a working visa holder, and they all get up in the morning and have to get ready for work or just to go out, it's just so inconvenient getting up and getting your stuff together and washing your face because there's 1 sink per floor. It was just too much. I couldn't deal with it anymore. I needed my own bathroom, and that was the number one thing that I wanted. I wanted an apartment with my own bathroom and my own shower. There was a weird thing about the kitchen, which is that if you used more than one appliance, so for example, if you were using the microwave and somebody else wanted to use the toaster, all of a sudden all the lights would go off and the trip switch would go off. So the electricity to the entire house would be cut off. And the management company never actually told us what to do if that happened. They just told us to contact someone. So people would end up just standing there in the kitchen wondering what to do. And eventually, obviously, we figured out how to turn the trip switch back on ourselves. We had to go into the staff room, which you're not supposed to do. But waiting for somebody for over an hour just to come and flick the trip switch was just unreasonable. And every time somebody new would move into the share house who had no idea that this would happen, they would turn on the kettle and they would turn on the toaster oven and all the electricity would just go off and people would just panic because they don't know what to do. The next thing is something that can happen in every single share house, and that's getting really, really odd housemates. Eventually you're going to come across some housemates which are a little bit strange, or just strange AF, to be honest. Like, some people I lived with were so weird. 99% of the people that lived there were incredible and I will miss them greatly, but we had like 2 or 3 tenants that were just weird. I'm not going to go too much into this, but if you want to read some stories about really, really weird housemates where I lived, you could read my housemate's blog post about them. He's also moved out. He doesn't live there anymore, so we're not doxing ourselves or anything. But he has a blog post about really weird experiences in Japan, including some of the strange housemates that we came across while living there. So I'll put a link to his blog in the description down below and also here. So if you want to know more about weird housemates, please check that out. The next thing is something I have mentioned in many other vlogs previously, and that is the water quality of that particular area. It was bad. The whole place smelled like chlorine, and when I say the water smells like chlorine, I don't mean it has a little hint of chlorine to it. I literally mean like the swimming pool has just been cleaned, and after you have a shower, it doesn't matter if your shampoo smells incredible. It doesn't matter if you just use a Lush shower bomb thing. It does not matter, because you will stink of chlorine. Like, nothing will get this scent of chlorine out. Even my clothes would smell like chlorine after being washed in the washing machine, and I just feel it was so bad for my skin and for my hair and my general well-being. It cannot be good for you to bathe every day in water that is so chlorinated. Like, it can't. Then it's the living area itself. So I lived in northern Tokyo, which is the Nishi Takashima-daira, Shin Takashima-daira, Takashima-daira areas. And they are part of the Itabashi ward. There are a lot of share houses there. Like, a lot of share houses in that area. All the companies love that area for share houses. This is because the cost of the share houses can be lowered greatly because the stations themselves are pretty inconvenient. They are inconvenient in terms of there's nothing at the station. For example, my station had one shop, just one tiny little shop there, and the nearest 7-Eleven was 20 minutes walk away. And secondly, they are inconvenient in a sense that it would take you a very, very long time to get anywhere central. For example, it would take me over an hour just to get to Shibuya. And if I have to go to Shibuya every single day for work, not only is that expensive in terms of me using my Suica card several times a day, because I have to change once also, but it takes up a lot of my time and it's just so inconvenient. And I wish that that is something I looked into when I first came to Japan, because my main priority was finding very affordable accommodation. And when you're doing that, just make sure not to overlook the lines that you have to take and how much it will cost you to get to the places you need to get to. So I think if I had to go back and do that again, I would find somewhere a little bit more expensive but a bit more central. Aside from those things, the area itself is actually quite nice. For example, it was very quiet, and when I first arrived there during summertime, I could hear all the cicadas in the trees, and it was just like the typical very quiet Japanese neighborhood, and I liked it. However, at nighttime, this is something that's really creepy, but every time I walked around at nighttime, I genuinely felt like I was being watched. And I don't believe in spooky stuff or anything, and to be honest, I think my coworkers scared me because they said that the reason I live in an area that is so cheap is because of more sinister reasons, and that kind of freaked me out. The whole place during nighttime just gave me the creeps. I just felt like I was being watched by something, and I don't know why. I just had really negative vibes every time I would go out at night in the evening, and I didn't like it. But this new place that I'm at, I have all the positive vibes here and it's great. And it's also very convenient and it's close to shops. I really hope that you guys found this video at least a little bit helpful. If you did, please don't forget to give me a like and subscribe, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye!